ProVision Mentorship is one of several strategic focuses of ProVision Solutions Inc. I'm Jim Ewing, and mentorship can make a difference. This is one of several interviews with those who've experienced mentorship. Learn from their experiences. Then take a moment and share your experiences on our blog, ProVision Mentorship.
It almost appears that I've been mentoring companies for most of my life. Back in the late 70s, 78, I was asked by the Alberta government to set up the Alberta Small Business Division. And over the years, created the business counseling unit, a 1-800 helpline, and a variety of publications and pieces that we put together for entrepreneurs in business. During that time, I counseled all kinds of businesses, manufacturing, retailing, you name it, we did at service sizes, everything from small to large. Then went on and established my own company outside of government and continued to work with a variety of companies assisting them. And during that time got involved with Tech Edmonton Ventureprise and have remained an active mentor with them since basically the beginning, and have had some wonderful clients I've dealt with and some of the people, and I'm continuing that relationship. Also had the opportunity while I was doing this to teach at MacEwan, NAIT, at the NAIT Entrepreneur Center, and actually at the University of Alberta Continuing Ed. You get a lot of people out there who have some great ideas. They become a little bit unfocused. They become emotional. It's like having the baby, as we used to call it in government. They've got their little baby and they walk in, and helping them get organized and seeing the realities of some of the business aspects behind it, the financing and some of the things they have to do. I think it's great from both sides. The companies get to have valuable experience and wealth of expertise from a number of the groups and people that they have a chance to talk to. And from the mentor side, I really feel it's like giving back to the community. People have always, I think the business community likes to help each other and help themselves. And I think this is a great opportunity to do it, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
What type of help can a mentor provide?
The mentor gives the business an opportunity to have their project looked at totally objectively. It would be great if the client and the mentor could exactly match in, say, a sector or a company with their expertise. But sometimes it's even better if you don't. The mentor can look at something and ask questions from a totally objective point of view and saying, well, I don't understand what this term means. And if I don't understand it, how are stakeholders, or how is a banker, or how are your friends or angels venture capitalists going to understand it? And so providing that expertise, providing the value of knowledge that you've gained over the years and seeing where other people have maybe tripped or stumbled along their path, and giving that person that insight, and developing a trust relationship with the client. I really think it is, and understanding each other, where you're coming from, and knowing that you're there to help and the client knows you're there to help, I think really creates the playing field for the whole relationship.
Talk with us about the development of the mentorship relationship.
You're kind of getting to know each other and getting that comfort level and trust level and confidentiality level built up. Then as you're starting to work together, you as the mentor, you're providing information, and you see how the client takes it. If the client takes it negatively, it tells you a little bit. If the client takes it and says, that's something I should maybe look into, or that's a great point, and they go away with it, and you're building that middle step, you're building that kind of the trust, the confidence in each other. You get to know what they say are going to do, they're going to do. Some clients we've had, they say they're going to do it and you never hear back from them. So the ones that carry on with you are the ones that you feel another level of confidence. You go the next step and you get the feeling that they are now believing in what you're telling them. You can feel that in their voice and their action. That changes the relationship too. You can start telling them a few more things, I think, in a little bit better, in a little more detail, a little bit more depth maybe, and talk to them about some of their a little deeper issues that they may need to brush up on or whatever. And then as you work through that project, it becomes more like a bit of a friendship, a business friendship. And then as they go forward and pitch that idea, some of them will make it, and they'll call you back. And there is that handoff, and they do. I've had companies that have called me back. And I've actually had one for a number of years, called me every year, and we would sit down over a coffee, and they would update me as to what they did the previous year, and they would almost use me as a sounding board and say, you know, here's what happened last year, here's where we're currently sitting, and here's what our future plans are. What do you think of that? And that lasted for about 4 or 5 years, and it kind of shows that they valued what you were doing, and they saw the importance of it. I have many times, I've read a number of articles on business, and one of the ones that I really have put forward to many companies is having what basically is an informal advisory board of friends and colleagues that they trust and would work with. And I've been invited to sit on some of those, and I would sit, say, for maybe a year or two, and then I would try to get off that, because my relationship with them is changing as they're progressing on. And at the same time, I'm taking on new clients again, some new clients. So I have a time frame that I can only give to this certain projects too. But you see them grow, and you see what they've learned from you as you go through this, and how they've progressed from an advisory board to a group of trusted advisors. And those advisors become more and more professional as they are able to buy that expertise too. And that's great for them. And I know several of them have gone on to make very successful companies in the Edmonton, Alberta area.
Is it possible for a mentorship relationship to be mutually beneficial?
Well, the protege is going to get an opportunity to have their project, their business plan looked at honestly and openly. The mentor is not there to provide. In this particular case where I wasn't there to provide money. I was there to provide the expertise and the business expertise. So being able to sit down with the protege and say to them, I read your package, I don't get it, or I read your package and it's great, but it needs some fine tuning. Hopefully they understand that you're coming from it, not blasting them, but you're there to give them the constructive criticism, and they take it and go away with it and look at how they're going to make that better. And I've learned a ton. I mean, I don't know anything about some of the businesses, but you talk to people, and if they understand that you're honest, you're going to help them. They level with you, and they put out their life in front of you, and you learn all kinds of things that you then can use later in your life as you go through it. And some of the things I learned 20 years ago or 30 years ago, I've used recently in when I'm dealing with people, because they don't change. The business principle doesn't change, but you get to know some industry experience that you pick up, and you get to know contacts. I think that's the biggest thing as being a mentor. You get a business network, and that business network many times is there to help you too. And I think it works great.
Have you got some tips for both the protege and the mentor?
First of all, the biggest key is to sit down one-on-one and probably go over some, I'm going to call ground rules, basic rules, like how much time is involved, what the expectations are from the protege, from the mentor, what the mentor can bring to the table, what the protege has to do in order to maintain their side of it by providing information or working to get some additional information. Finding out how you can work together, where it's going to fit, and if it's not going to fit, up front, that's good to know. I mean, you don't want to be going forward with a relationship that you know isn't going to work. You kind of get a feel for it after a while on that first or second meeting, whether this is going to work together. And you build a trust factor, and you build an understanding of what each is going to do. And I think the biggest thing for the protege is to understand that I'm there to provide some expertise and resources, but I can't make that final key decision for them. And it's their call if they want to spend the amount of time that may be required. If I can give a quick example, I worked with one recently a couple of years ago. It was a great business plan. Unfortunately, it was so technical that I took it to somebody I know who was in the business, and we had a hard time understanding what it was. And so I brought that knowledge back, and first there was that moment of, are you kidding me? Everybody needs to know all the technical side of this business. And then I believe the light came on where he realized that he was writing that business proposal for himself, but nobody could understand it. So he refined it, and we used that old phrase, "A picture is worth 1,000 words." And he was able to condense a very complicated process into a bit of a flow chart. And that flow chart was amazing when he took like 14 pages of technical data and put it into a one-page flow chart that literally just jumped out at you. And in actual fact, it was that flow chart that sold it to a bank who said, "I totally get it." So putting all that information together was a leap of faith on his part that I knew what I was trying to tell him, and the fact that he was able to take it and run with it and put it together in a package that made sense. I think coming in as a mentor, you have to show some empathy to the client. You have to get to know them. So getting to know them also builds that trust factor. They know that you're interested in them not only as a client, but also as an individual. And you can build that into the package because you understand more what their capabilities are, their financial capabilities and their expertise, and you just get to know them a little bit better. Your knowledge as a mentor from the years of what you've worked, being able to tap into that. I think the network, like I said before, networking to me is really good because you can pick up the phone. You don't have to divulge confidentialities because you are under a confidential agreement, but you can get some really good information from people in an industry and use that to assist the client. Being open-minded, being honest, and knowing that you're there to help them really does make a difference for the building stones. I think that's the foundation.
What final thoughts would you share with those considering entering into a mentorship relationship?
If you're a client looking for a mentor, I totally would encourage any company to ask for any help they can get, and that's a starting point. And I think a starting point is important to have. And as they grow, they have to learn that sometimes they need that help, and sometimes they can't afford it. So a mentor, a volunteer mentor, or a community mentor, or just talking to somebody sometimes is what they need to make that little spark, get the next step. That's always valuable. If they can afford it a little bit more, they can afford another level. That's great, and they move that way. From a mentor point of view, I've encouraged other people in the business community to become mentors, and some have. I believe it's this, I want to give back to the community. As I mentioned previously, I've gotten other staff members around here involved, and where I work, students. And I have to say this, one of the students actually phoned me back after she left our department. And she was interviewed for a job in a Community Futures program. And when she got the job, they said to her, the reason you got the job is because you were the only one who actually had experience in looking at a real business plan and assisting a client. And she phoned me and sent me a little email back saying that at the time she thought it was a great learning experience for her because she had only been in school, and having an actual sitting in with a real client. At that first meeting, I'll have to say something kind of funny. I don't know who was sweating more, the client or the students. Both were sweating bullets because there was a real live client in front of two students, and there was a real client in front of a mentor group. And both those students went on into the business community and have told me personally that they thoroughly enjoyed what they learned while working with that. And that opened the door to them to what could be done, even with a couple of hours of free time a month, that what they could do to make a big difference in their life. So from a mentor, it comes from the heart and it comes from the head. That yes, I feel that I want to give back, and I know how I'm going to do that, and the head is the expertise. So I would absolutely encourage anybody to go for it.
Now it's your turn to share your experience with mentorship. Visit our blog, Provision Mentorship. Make the investment in mentorship today for your success tomorrow.